Hello, this is GRO van Was. Every letter will and can be associated with a direct position, direction, or at least a limit of what you can see and hear. The whole theory about it, I have explained it already several times before, but it's about, yes, let's sharpen our vision, let's sharpen our ears, let's sharpen our understanding towards the thing that is associated with these letters. The thing. The first 9 letters are really focused upon, okay, I immediately recognize the clicks, the sounds, the ongoing sounds. I can keep them there. I don't need much more than the thing. I am very direct focused upon that. Often I say, okay, that's the physical space, so let's associate that also more quickly. We will associate that more quickly also with everything that is objective, that has a physical space. Does that mean that it will all be about that physical thing? No, not at all. But the general sense is that the physicality that I have there is direct. When I would talk about a word that is expressing also something physical, but I'm having the letters from the next category where things change, where things move, the main thing will be that I have the indirect influences that are more dominant. There I sharpen my focus not towards the thing which is completely defined within its borders. It's always almost the same thing as I see it all the time. But it's indirect, where I see other things that are dominating. I use the second category of letters. When I would use the third category of letters, and just imagine I use that for a physical thing, that would more be about, the general sense of like material, something that is ongoing everywhere, where there's no sharp border, where I don't have the thing as an object, but it's more like, okay, the materials is also something more general. I can sense it, and there's a more global range. It's a general thing, and in a way I can still define it within certain limits. That's a third category of expression. And my next 2 words, GRINT and GRO. I will use the Dutch words, it's almost the same as the English ones, GRINT and ground, but I use the Dutch word instead because it's a little bit more simple, almost slightly more simple, and that is a good comparison. It's just 1 letter difference, and it also has this sound a little bit more than g. G is also a little bit more direct focused, and it's more describing us as if it is also about that material. You can almost sense that material in that way. If you would use your synesthesia senses, that also the sounds can be associated with a certain form or formulation or becoming of certain of the certain conditions that fit to that. That way the G can be associated as that. When it's more or there's more noise, there's more, and that noise makes the material different. So that fits it also better to the words I'm describing. So when I use the 2 words and I see which category are there, what are they describing? They're not describing a direct physical thing. No, the letters are from 2 categories, the third category and the second one. So I'm focusing myself upon movement, and I'm focusing upon these general conditions. First 3 letters from GRINT are about that first category of the general focus. So I will do that. So there's no reference to these steady focuses or the objective, countable, physical appearance or reference. I repeat myself, it doesn't mean that it can't have a physical feature, but it's there just as a potential thing, but not as a dominant thing. So not as something like, okay, I can define it as something which has a beginning, an ending, and a middle, all of these things. It's not there. With ground, it's not there. You can't say like, okay, the ground starts there, ends there. No, it's general sense. So the general senses are in the third category, and that's how the word starts. So I leave out the focus upon space. So I actually have, my focus upon Earth is gone, and that's weird. So it's not about that aspect. It's about focusing upon that general sense more than to the specific individual sense. And these two parts of the word, GRI is from the last category, are into the realm of that general sense, the definition, and that repetitive condition or behavior. And the second part of N and D, both are the same, are related to a function of move, which still is, because it's the first level, related or given to a place. D, N and Y are still related to the focus upon space. So the ending and the conclusion still gets your focus downward there, which will lift it up to a functional thing there. But okay, we start with the G. The G is then that general big sense, the definition of what is in general also associated with large. It's an enlargement, it's related to something large also on the first level. I start also from space, yes, I still do, but it is expressing something that goes beyond that space, beyond those limits of space, like material. I'm talking about the ground level, I'm talking about space, I'm talking about the physicality, but not on a way that I can say from here to here. It goes to a bigger sense towards the big definition of it, like ground, and GRINT has that. The R connects to that, so I make connections where I can find it, so I connect to it wherever I can find it. E is even inwardly. GRINT is also this ground of gravel, actually. I think that's a good translation of that word, gravel, of small stones and everything that I have. That's the material, the general sense of material in there. The N takes something out of the ground and uplifts it again. And with the D, I also displace it. So with the T as a last sound, I also give it a functional function. I give it a functional thing to the material that has that general sense, and I also give it a placement on the earth, even if I hardly have described here that it is about something that is uplifted from down there or from the earth itself. Yes, I give it a function also at that place. A little bit of clarity of where you come from and where you go to. So starts from G, goes to RIN and ends in D. What is that in between zone? Actually, it's like almost like therein. You have almost therein. It connects to the spatial point in it. The spatial means the spatial references in a space on Earth. Let's say you go to check what can be used and what cannot be used to appear and to reappear at a certain time, because that's what and is. It's going to be used at a certain point. Something cannot be used and other things be used, or some things will appear and some things can be useful at a certain time. The G, where it comes from, actually says it has also a reflection from this small point that is going to be used at some point, how it looks like, how it reflects itself at a certain point from within, towards the bigger structure, towards the bigger values, towards the more values, the more options that you have. That's that reflection. It starts already with reflection. I see the big picture. I'm going to look after the big picture. I'm going to look to connect to what's in it, or what I can use from it. Then, of course, also with the D as well, with that displacement. With a displacement that is, I'm going to have it appeared at some point, I displace it, and I'm going to give it a different place at some point, at some other time, when the conditions are right, when I can use it at a certain time. So that's basically how it is described with these letters. So while GRINT, like gravel, is really focusing upon a very small part, and see it also reflected into the big picture, GRONT, as you can see, it's in the timing aspect. It much more has that wider view. It keeps that overview. It keeps that overview of the environment. And also do almost the same thing. It's focusing upon the foundations. What can I use from space somewhere else at a different place in that displacement and so on. But the reflections of G will also be slightly different. It keeps that overview actually, and that's how it also reflects itself. It keeps that overview in the ground. What can I do with that ground? What can I do with that material within that full environment? Reflecting it to its environment. What's the whole foundation in the full picture actually from space towards a whole timing, the whole environment, the bigger picture in where I am, what I can use there in that way actually. And before I end it, if you would really like to know the English word for GRINT, or that you also have gravel, what's the difference? You see already that A and L are about physicality in space, so the main focus will be there. Gravel is also focusing upon the material, the full material, but it's really focusing upon the material that I can handle, that I have really in my hands, that I really can define underneath. It's there, I have a center point of vision there, and I move it. V is about moving material to another place. L is about material that is coming out, and I move it to another place. It's a different kind of description. It's not focusing on these small things that are almost invisible. Where did they come from? Where did they go to? How big are they? Where are they hidden? What do you see? What you do not see? It's not there. Gravel in this way is much more the physicality of that moving around of that material. You see the difference? Can you interpret with me the difference? I hope you can. If you do, you're already further with me with the theory how you can interpret it. And I hope this was already a contribution which brought you hopefully also closer to the understanding of how to interpret the combinations of letters in words. Thanks again for watching. Some books to prepare if you like, some Facebook page if you like, some web page if you like, and there's also a YouTube channel which you are watching at this point, and hope you liked it. Thanks again for watching. Bye.